अपने पसंदीदा मौजू पर शोज़ देखने के लिए लाइक और सब्सक्राइब करना ना भूलिएगा और बेल बटन पर क्लिक कीजिएगा।
Hi everyone, this is Mustafa Hassan from Hackpack TV with Hackpack with Hassan Betalbi. Very excited to have Sarah Khan Ali with us here, joining us to talk about the business opportunities during and post-COVID world. As we all know, there is very few opportunities right now. People are not really spending money. There are not really good government policies in place. There are not too many opportunities for investors as well at the same time. So what we would like to discuss today is what do we need to do to prepare for the post-COVID world? What opportunities can be there? What can the government be doing? So welcome, Sarah, to the call. Thanks for being with us.
Thank you.
To begin the conversation, let's focus on, I would like you to give us your outlook on what does the post-COVID business will look like.
Assalamu alaikum. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Thank you, Hassan, for having me on the show. When we say post-COVID, we're talking anywhere between China and Africa, Latin America, Europe, America. And regardless of who set the Wuhan in place and who set the COVID in place, America is suffering the most. And because it's suffering the most, it's starting to bankrupt big companies like Hertz and Victoria's Secret, Chanel, British Airlines. I mean, companies are going bankrupt nowadays. So first of all, we have to set out the scenario for what is the post-COVID scenario. And over here, if there are bankruptcies in America, then they're likely to be bankruptcies in all the other rest of the world. As a domino effect.
Absolutely.
All the way to China. Now, there are some facts and figures which China provides, giving, for example, exports are more than 1/4 of Asian GDP this quarter for COVID. And that tells us that all exports are going to China. And now everything is going to be China-centric, China-related. In that, America wanted to seriously compromise Chinese plans, but ended up fissuring its own constitution and fissuring its own infrastructure and its own bankrupting its own system at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
So post-COVID, what we're looking at, I'll just run down a list of things I've been listening to on macro reports. And global economy is going to be falling into a deep recession. And this recession is going to be worse than the 1929 depression. Yeah. And they say that recovering from this economy, I mean, it's going to be reshaped, they say, but it's going to take about 10 years to bring it back to where it was before COVID.
Yep.
Then they say we're going to the recovery. The upswing will begin in June, September 2021, not before. Although people are saying we're optimistic, we're expecting people to go back to work, things will go back to normal. They won't, because there's a kind of a new world order that's going to be set in place that people are whispering about right now. I don't know if you've heard of it.
Yeah, no, it's not just Sarah, it's not just that. I think we have to be realistic about the fact that with this, whether the business opportunities, the business comes back in 2021 or whatever that the number might be. I agree with you, by the way, that is probably almost a year later. But what I would like to focus on, or what I would like to remind our viewers also, is that it's not just business coming back. It's the way of doing business that is being fundamentally changed. You're not going to be doing business the old school ways.
Yeah, what we see at ground root level during COVID is that e-commerce is taking off.
Sure.
Web portals are coming into being, and e-commerce online companies are beginning to take off. With the post-COVID transport, logistics, and e-commerce is going to be very important. There are macroeconomic reports that show for the future that there'll be drones in Africa, drone transportation, stuff like that. They won't actually develop Africa like a normal marketplace like us, like the Asians were developed. but there'll be a tech friendly market.
Oh yeah.
So I mean, then there are sources that say that this is not the only pandemic that's happened now. I mean, it's the worst one that's happened, that's hit us economy wise, because इससे पहले तो economies weren't going bust or boom.
Right.
But there will be more pandemics. There will be. This is not the only one.
I mean that has been the history of humankind. But with this one, this one is a little bit different because back then we did not have the resources and the communication means that we have on our hands right now. Back then we did not have internet. But like the last one that hit in the 60s, there was just newspapers, there was just telegraphs, there was telephone calls. So the amount of communication that is going forward has fundamentally changed as well, which is why the scale of this feels a lot more. So, but how we handle that is going to fundamentally change.
Yeah. Well, emerging markets, currencies are seeing greater stability for some reason. All the local currencies in all emerging markets are seeing stability against the dollar. The dollar is crumbling, it's falling. They're saying that's going to, in all likelihood, crash, but let's see what happens. I mean, it's a large currency.
Well, I wouldn't necessarily agree with that. I mean, you can say that the dollar is crashing, but sure, if you see against the Pakistani currency, yes, but because Pakistani currency is so weak itself, that's really not a comparison itself. So so that only time will tell on that aspect.
Yeah. Then there's something called China Plus One manufacturing hub strategy. This is the diversification of industry. Like what China will do is, for example, there are 2-3 things are developing. One is the China Plus One hub technology, hub strategy plans. And this is that whatever China is producing under intellectual patent rights for America, for Europe, it's going to remove its factories and take them to Vietnam, Cambodia, Indonesia, like Central Chinese Asian states in the middle. And this is actually called, it's got a name for it, diversifying industry. They're going to be seeing diversifying industry under the China Plus One manufacturing hub strategy. And this most likely it'll be China plus Vietnam or China plus Cambodia or China plus other places, not China and America anymore, because the US-China trade war has created such major mess in China. Chinese trust for America and what Wuhan is doing to the world. There are controversy theories as to who put it there, why.
Sure, absolutely.
What are the net results? What did they want to achieve? Have they achieved them? Etc. Etc. So then there's something called severe supply chain disruptions. This is something that's also linked to diversifying industry, that whatever China is producing for America, now it will produce for the world, and it will produce not through its own industry, but it will diversify its industry and take it abroad.
Sure.
Abroad from China, that is. Anyway, so then there's increased need for economic diversification. Post-COVID, we're seeing this in policy making, in reform structures. Then economies will look to diversify. They'll look to diversify. Another thing they're talking about is that there will no longer, for example, if I place an order from an e-commerce shop and say, give me, there will be no such thing as 50,000 items per order. There'll be one per at a time. And they'll be delivering one item at a time. They won't be delivering 50,000 items.
So here's Sarah. I would like to go back to one of your points where you stated that China is going to be doing manufacturing plus one and moving its own manufacturing away. But it's my observation, isn't that the other way around? I mean, look at all of the microchip industry in US. It's already in Taiwan. Apple is moving its manufacturing out of China. So there are so many other big companies. You can talk about the fashion world, designer world is moving away from China itself. So it's not that China per se is moving its manufacturing. It's the companies that are based out of China are moving out of not just China, but India as well. So wouldn't you say it's not just China's plan to move manufacturing out? It's really the companies that are there. They are the ones moving out.
Well, China has counter plans. Like people like me, for example, I've registered my logo triathlon sales so that when China has an intellectual patent right problem, such as Nike boots, which is something that we get, It's a retail item on our listing. I mean, it's a company item that we deal with.
Sure.
When they start to re-diversify these items, which were before Nike America, but become triathlon sales Pakistan later, but with Chinese backup. So we're sitting in the middle with a logo saying, okay, take our logo. So
Sure.
instead of selling anything under its branded name, they sell it under a logo. And we were sitting here waiting to take advantage of this very situation called intellectual patent rights.
Sure.
And my company is hoping for good sailing weather because we did a lot of homework before China came.
Sure.
And now that it's here, we are seeing a lot of interest in our company from Chinese parties like Cat Fund, like Silk Route Fund, who are interested to see who's been working in tandem with them and who can they patronize and who can they pick up and who can they own as a Chinese enterprise.
So I want to come to the CPAC for a second over here, because I know since you deal with a lot of the CPAC routes and a lot of your own business as an entrepreneur, it's based in and out of CPAC opportunities as well. So
Yeah.
for first thing, I would like to ask you, there are continuous projects that are going on. I understand that. However, that CPAC isn't really an investment, as the former governments have always told our people, but it really is a $62 billion loan to the Pakistani government that we have to eventually pay off. So I just want to make that clear. Pakistan has no rights over what China trades through that route themselves. The use of our highways that China has, so it's pretty much all free to them. The use that Pakistan has, is my understanding, is what we do with it. So can you advise our business community as to how, based on your experience, your entrepreneurship, where our business community can take advantage of that?
Well, I think the greatest advantage we have sitting in Pakistan is that CPEC is a spiral going up and down the country, so that China can send goods to Africa and there can be reverse trade also. We are lucky enough that we can arrange for reverse trade from China through our portals, through our corridors, all the way back to Samarkand and beyond. So what I would say to the business community at this point is think big, think very big.
Okay.
Don't think one country, think 20 countries, think 8 countries, think 5 countries. Don't think one marketplace, think a global marketplace. And prepare for multiple interests, not just a single interest.
Okay.
Therefore, I mean, I have people who do business in shoes. I met them, they're shoe people, and they're doing COVID products. And we, of course, do everything. But there are other like carpet manufacturers who are doing other like diversifying their business. There are shoe people who are doing other things in Pakistan and abroad.
Okay,
And
so what you're saying is because they already have the structure in place, they're using the existing facilities to do something different.
Yeah.
Okay.
And keep your mind open, keep your horizons open, because when China was coming before pre-COVID, there was much ado, there was much movement, and there was a great joy in the market, Chinese related. Everybody was talking. Everybody was excited. Everybody was talking business.
Yeah.
What the COVID has done is it's put a obstacle in all the excitement. And it's given us a different world because America doesn't like Chinese plans. And regardless that it tried to break China through the Wuhan vaccine.
Well, yeah, I think it goes both. I think there is no love lost over there. It goes both ways. So.
The Chinese don't trust the Americans now, and they don't want to talk business.
I mean, do you really think? But Sarah, do you really think any country really trusts any other country? We can say that this country is our friend, or that country is our friend, but that gets into a much deeper discussion. At the end of the day, every single country, be it Pakistan or any other country, has to look after its own interest, its own people's interest, its own public interest first and foremost. There are absolute, when it comes to countries, I completely believe there are no absolutely friends. to being to another country. It's our own interest first. So that's why I'm saying there is no love lost between countries when it comes to trade wars, when it comes to economic wars, or anything like that. And that's just happens all over the world. So, you know,
I wish to disagree with you because I find that the future world will be based on allied relationships.
well, I mean, it's still
China and
yes.
America
So
might not
yeah.
do business.
So
China
no.
and
So I think you are agreeing with me.
I
You're
think
calling
there
it.
are allied.
Yeah.
I think allied status states will do business together. Do you know, by the
That
way?
is a better term.
By the way, there's BRI in China, and America has just launched something called the Blue Dot Network, which connects India, Japan, Israel, and Australia. So
Yeah.
they're starting a converse BRI of their own, really called the Blue Dot Network.
Yeah.
And
I mean, I'm not surprised at that at all. You know, it's just how
and the main
the world
areas
is to
that
function.
for focus for the left for the Chinese is Asia and Africa, because those are
Yeah.
the areas they've already worked on
And South
a lot
America
of money in.
and
Yes,
South
South America
America.
also.
Yeah, South
South
America.
America, all the way
Yeah.
up to Mexico.
Exactly.
Exactly.
Hey, Sarah, I know we are normally short on time, so I really do appreciate the opportunity to join us. I would like to, to carry these conversations forward and in the future as well. So, listeners, as you heard from Sarah, our entrepreneur today, who focuses on opportunities through CPEC and retail sector, import, export as well, and has her own business, her outlook, her advice on what to do in the post-COVID world and how to take it forward. So, we really thank her and hope she joins us in the future as well. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, Hassan.